Very good morning. You know, this happened in one of the organizations that I was setting up the learning and development vertical, which is in layman's language called training also. So since it was a new setup and I was putting it up, obviously I had to add people to the team. So the first option was to take someone from inside, or take at least 2 or 3 from inside the system rather than get somebody from outside. So it so happened, long story short, I landed up with one individual, one gentleman, came from an army background, and coming from an army background means very disciplined and very rigid in many ways in terms of operating. What I gathered was this gentleman had literally taken if I may say, a world trip around the organization before he came into my vertical. And the input and feedback I got was that he's very difficult and very difficult to work with, too headstrong. In short, he has a problem with compliance and going as per what was told to him. So anyway, he was put in my department, and I said, okay, let's see what happens. And as time progressed and I interacted with him, I realized that he had certain qualities which everybody cannot acquire overnight. They have to work hard at it. And even after that, they may struggle. But this man, by virtue of his DNA, if I may use that word, and by virtue of his conditioning over a period of time, right from school days, had a certain methodology to his madness. Now, unfortunately, what happens in these kind of situations, people don't have the patience. And especially nowadays, if you see the way corporates work, it's all about deadlines. It's all about do things faster and faster, faster and faster, faster and faster. Compromising God knows how many things. Quality for sure. God knows if you learn anything, that's a big question mark. I mean, there are plenty of examples floating around nowadays when it comes to quality and how people push things quickly so that the wheels get rolling and revenue starts coming in. You hear a lot about it in the papers nowadays. But is that worth the trade-off, where you compromise on quality and you compromise on customer satisfaction? That's a choice you have to make, and that's the choice the organization has to make. But coming back to the story, what I realized is this man had a certain way of working, and if one allowed him to do that, excellent stuff would be churned out. Something which would not ordinarily happen. Yes, in order to get that excellent stuff out of him, you had to be patient. You had to really question and understand his methodology, his logic, and why he was doing what he was doing, and then leave him alone. One of those people who what we call as individual contributors to a large extent, where you give them something and leave them alone, they go ahead and roll out what you actually want, if not better. So a lot of times people struggle with, a lot of managers, a lot of team leaders struggle with this fact that they get somebody on board who is really difficult to work with, to the extent they make you climb the wall. You become Spider-Man, if you call it that. Literally up the wall, and you break your head. Well, it's like this. You're not going to get the best of people. When was the last time you are not a pain in somebody's neck? Think about that. When was the last time you, as a team player or even as a team lead, was a pain in other people's neck? How did they come around working with you, and how did you work around them? In my experience, it's dialogue, lots of it, and patience. And I've always noticed another thing. Right people in the wrong place, it's a recipe for an uphill climb, if not a disaster. Right people in the wrong place. So, is the person in the right place, first of all, based on what he is able to deliver, experience, history, background, all play a vital role. Yes, the immediate requirement and fine-tuning through on-the-job training or offline training, that also adds value, no doubt about it. But remember, he or she comes with a lot of baggage, if I may use that word, which he or she by default is going to use in his present role or in her present role. So you've got to allow that play where he or she is going to bring something from the past into the current team, into the current organization, and play it out, because logic is very simple again. That's what comes easily to them. They've been doing it, they've practiced it, so it comes naturally. And then when they are faced with something which is completely different, I'm not talking about marginally one can still manage, but if it's completely different, they go into what we call as a trauma. For better understanding, they go into a shock. So what is this? How do I handle this? And on top of it, you're going to put deadlines. Now picture yourself. It's like you are an engineer, okay, who works with his hands on machines, and you're told to sit on a bike and go and sell books. Mechanic, fiddling with machinery, with electrical wires, with components, grease on your hand if necessary. And the next minute you are said, here are a bunch of encyclopedia books, go and sell. What's going to happen? That's exactly what happens. They get a shocker. First thing they say, what is this? Pay is not the criteria. Environment office is not the criteria. It is those cards that he is dealt with. Can he handle those cards, let alone play it? He can't even hold the cards in his hands, let alone study it. So what do you do? Well, it all depends on you as a manager, you as a team lead, you as the organization. If his expertise is very, very valuable, you have to find a way around it. You have to find a place where you can put that person independently to do some work which will add value to your vertical, your department and your team, where there's not too much of interaction and there's not too much of pressure in terms of a deadline. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it, if you have the time, is to put him into an orientation program, him or her. See if things work out. When you've tried everything and still it doesn't work out, then you have to take a call. It's that same syndrome. Good person in the wrong place. It's not good for him or her, it's not good for you as well. And you've got to take a call. It has nothing to do with you liking the person or disliking the person. There's no emotional play over here. There are certain realities. How are you going to handle it? The way I have done it in the past is to see how best I can adjust with that person or make him fall into the groove somewhere where he adds value. If it doesn't happen after everything, we have a dialogue and we come to an agreement that it's not working out for him or her and yourself. There's no harm. You're doing a great favor to the person. And you inside, as an individual, know that you've tried every little thing possible to help him or her adjust, but that's life. It hasn't worked out. So we need to move on. So give this a thought, friends. It's completely an individual approach. But I'll leave you with this one thought. Before you do anything drastic, ask yourself, have you tried everything in your capacity, in your control, to see if this person fits in somewhere, adds some kind of value till the machinery picks up speed and it gets well lubricated and oiled to churn out something much better for you and the team at large. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. That's life. It happens. Like they say, everything is not your cup of tea. You accept it and you move on. That's about it. There's nothing much that you can do. Just be sincere and honest about the effort you've put in to help that person cope. After that, take a call. And that's the way it is. Have a lovely day.